name is Autumn, and today we're going to be reviewing the Erin Condren Teacher Planner. So, just a little background on the Erin Condren Teacher Planner. The base price of it is $55, and that's just for the basic planner. You can also add pages in the back. There's checklist pages that you can add. You can have a total of 14, and that will cost extra $5. You can have a total of 21. That's a cost of $7.50, or you could have a total of 28, and that would cost $10 extra onto the $55 base. You can also add sheet protectors. You can have 2 sheet protectors, and that'll cost you an extra $1.50 because you get one that comes with the planner, or you can have 3, and that's an extra $3. If you want to change the coil color, so that's this right here, you can change it to rose gold or regular gold, and that's $10. You can also get metallic covers that come with the metallic different colored coil, and that's a $60 base price. Personally, I am, or at least I was last year, a 7 through 12 English teacher. I ordered extra checklist pages and extra sheet protectors, and I bought it the summer before school started, and I used it to kind of help me organize my full year. So really I used it a lot at the beginning of the year, and as you'll see when we go through the planner in its entirety, I kind of tapered off using it as the year went on. So it was great at the beginning of the year for me to help me plan and get everything organized and know when all of our breaks were going to be. I could really plan out units really well, but day-to-day planning, it just wasn't helpful to me personally. So let's look at the planner. So this is the planner. This is the front. This is the inside cover. And the time lapse I did at the beginning, you can see it in its totality, but now we're gonna go through it a little more quickly. So on the inside cover, I just taped stuff that came with it. So this is like a little card that comes with it. This is like a fortune that came with it. I'm sorry if I just got really loud. This was me planning out a unit that I was doing. So then you've got this little teacher's lesson planner, blah, blah, blah. There's an about me page. There's a lot of cute quotes that come along with it that I think are nice and inspirational. Obviously I didn't use any of this. I had stuff written here, but it was written in pencil, so you can't really see it now. I had some of my school schedule stuff. So this stuff just, if I had a sub, I just typed them up separate sub plans. And I would never leave this with a sub. I've watched a lot of other videos where people talk about it, and they say that they're not going to leave this planner with a sub, which makes sense because it's basically your entire school year in a planner. This is helpful, but only because the planner itself does not have the dates written in it, which is kind of a pain in my opinion. You have to write them in, but we'll talk about that when we get to the lesson portion and the month portion. Here are birthdays, so I wrote student birthdays and like family birthdays in here. And I covered them up just for the sake of their privacy. So this is my missed you, kind of absentee log is what they call it. I did keep track of this a lot at the beginning of the school year. Like the first half of the year I was really good about making sure I wrote it down so I could kind of check patterns and see where students were at. But it wasn't particularly helpful. What I ended up doing is using my desk calendar. So I would write if a student was absent, or if they told me they were going to be absent, this is for this month, so obviously there's no student stuff on here, but I would write it on there because then I could physically see the patterns rather than having to go through and see like, oh, they're gone every Monday. I could actually physically see like, oh, they actually are gone every Monday. And here's what a blank one looks like. I didn't get the notes, obviously, because I'm not the secretary at the school. Sometimes I would write the reason, as you could see on the other page. Sometimes I didn't know. I never used this for anything school-related. At all, except for this. This has 7th grade standards. But this is all just me sketching out like floor plans for apartments. Because we moved to a new place when I got this, so I was trying to maximize its use. This is the most helpful part of the planner in my opinion, which is kind of sad because this is something I could have printed on my own rather than paid $65 for. And so you can see here I have each of my classes that I taught, and then I would write what we would be doing during that month. So 7th grade, we did short stories for half of September, then the last half we did Call of the Wild, and then we would write short stories in October. So this is how I kind of planned everything out over the course of the year, which I thought was really helpful overall. So then it starts your months. It's got your notes for the month and then the month, which is nice. I would, as you'll see in later months, do professional development notes. And then now you can see in the month they don't write the dates in for you, they just leave them blank. They do sell stickers that you can stick on and color coordinate and do all that stuff, but it seemed kind of silly to me to buy stickers when I could just write it in myself, which did become an issue because I would lose track, because these Saturday Sundays are kind of funky because you're used to Sunday being here and it's here, and that kind of threw me off a couple of times. And then you have like a what's going on in August, which this is my like in-service notes. So they're helpful and they're nice, and sometimes I would use the full, but a lot of times I wouldn't. As you can see, I didn't use anything in September. So let's skip to lessons. Now it starts out again with another little quote. This is the first week of school. Now again, you see you have to fill out these on your own, which is kind of a pain. And then you just write your schedule across the top. So the first full week of school, I used it pretty intensively. And if I screwed something up, I would just put masking tape over the top and rewrite it. I have this marks my prep, this marks my lunch, just with like regular tape. And I kept up with this for a while. But it got to be a lot. So as you can see, like this first week, I wasn't really sure what to do here, but I started writing student absences. So if students were going to be absent, I would put it up there and what time they said they were going to be leaving. I also put the game schedules for like volleyball, football, basketball, that all went over there. So anything going on extracurricular or outside of what was happening in the classroom would go in there. Over here would be like my remember to do section for each day, which was helpful. But as we would move through, and I, experimented with doing different things. So I put sticky notes over here at some point, just like in the event that like I wasn't in my planner when I wanted to make a note, but I could make a note to remember, hey, do this, and I could stick it in the planner, which was kind of nice. And those little Post-its were just the right size for that. But as we go through, you see I'm kind of tapering down how much that's a grocery list, using it. And it really became just an overall general, like this is what we're doing that day. Because I had to write separate lesson plans and submit them. And I'm very specific about my lesson plans, and I wouldn't be able to fit all the stuff I wanted in these boxes. So this is Christmas time. Let's jump to, so this is when I started. I did used to have them color coordinated. It's like English 7 would be purple, 9 was orange. Then we got to a point that I stopped caring, and I started using just black pen, which I think this is the last week I did that. And then I just went to pencil and started drawing arrows of like, this is what we're doing this week. Because I got into doing bigger units of literature. So we'd have, act 4 of whatever, or we're reading these chapters of this novel. And that's kind of how I would organize it towards the end. And it just got to be a lot towards the end of the school year. And I really just stopped using it for like my daily work. I would just use it as kind of a plan ahead type of thing, and this really isn't meant for that. So then we'll move into this last part. Now this checklist, my goal was to track standards with these, or maybe to record grades, or whatever, but it just didn't work out. I worked in a very, very small school, so I could have fit all of my students on here. But if I were to work in a bigger school where I was teaching 150 kids a day, there's no way that this would help me because there just isn't enough room. So for that sense, for secondary teachers, this just isn't a helpful section. I ordered extra checklist sheets. I don't know what I was thinking. I also tried to, let's see where that part is. Maybe that was that front part. But I also tried to check like missing assignments with this section, which was helpful at first. But I also, Power School, so I don't really need to have a written list of missing assignments because all of that is in Power School. I also tried to keep track of like handouts that I would give out, but since I don't give out a lot of handouts as a secondary teacher, but 2, I had other places where I could track those things, and I would always keep the slips because I'd have parents sign them and give them back, so I'd have that physical copy of knowing, oh yeah, so-and-so's mom did sign this, and read it. So then we've got the back pocket, another quote. I heard a lot of people struggling with keeping this paper folder together, so I taped the bottom and the sides of mine as well as this part so it wouldn't rip as easily. It also meant that there's an extra pocket up here. And then you have the sheet protectors. So I would put the school calendar in the front one. I would put our student list in this one. This is our class schedule. And then I had the staff directory back here. And I had it in there all year long so the ink wore off on it. And actually you can see stuff like phone numbers here. So that's why that's covered up. The planner also comes with this pocket in the back it's full of stickers. I used some of them. I didn't use all of them. And they have like extras too. So they come with a lot of blank stickers, which is really nice. And then you've got computer lab, conferences, assembly at what time, whatever duty you might have, staff meeting. We have staff meetings a lot. I would have run out of these stickers very quickly if I would have used them for every staff meeting that we had. These reminder stickers, I think I just forgot that we had them. And then these testing stickers I didn't use because I was chaperoning a field trip in Washington, D.C. and New York when we were doing testing, so I didn't have to put it down to remind myself to block off time because I wasn't going to be there anyway. They have IAP stickers, library stickers. For me, my room was in the library, so I didn't need these stickers for any reason. More blank stickers, emergency stuff. We never got notified beforehand. I don't think anybody did. It just kind of happened. Furlough, more blank stickers. So that is an overview of the entire planner. I will say that the corners of my planner did end up wearing a little bit. You can kind of see there. And I think the front I had issues with as well on the corners. You can see here it's coming apart. And I treated it pretty nicely, so mine weren't as bad. I've seen teachers that have had their whole front part come off. And I think I did take these off once or twice, but they're honestly such a pain to take off and put back on that I'd mess with it too much. But that is the general overview of the planner. So overall, I'm not a huge fan of the teacher planner for someone like myself who really writes very detailed lesson plans. However, I think it's a great option for elementary teachers. I've seen a lot of elementary teachers use it and review it and enjoy it. But for me personally, wasn't my favorite planner. I'm not going to get another one for whenever I start teaching again full time. I do, however, really love my life planner. So this one I really do enjoy just because it gives me a lot more options as far as weekends and planning out not only my stuff for grad school, my stuff for teaching, and my personal life, which is really nice. So that is my Erin Condren teacher planner review. Bye.